Yes, we're going to talk to Huey. Good, due to this unprecedented rain, we've got the doc, Huey from Newtrog, to share some information about waterlogged soils and just what happens. Hi, Huey.
Hi, Sandra. It's great to talk to you again.
And to you.
I guess, the garden may be the last thing people are thinking about after all that rain and the flooding that you've had, but the soil really suffers significant damage, which can have a long-term effect on your plants. So normally, a well-structured soil has lots of air spaces. In fact, a good soil should have about 50% of the volume taken up by soil, 25% by water, and 25% by air spaces. Now, these air spaces obviously allow water and fertilizer to infiltrate the soil, but really they're critical for gas exchange, so the ability of air to enter and leave the soil, and that's essential for those healthy roots. So during, say, watering or normal rain event, those air spaces fill up within the soil. As the soil dries out, those air spaces return. Unfortunately, during those extensive periods of waterlogging that you guys have seen, this can't happen, and then the soil loses its structure, and it really turns into this anaerobic, smelly mud.
Gosh, what sort of issues do we see with waterlogged soils?
So most listeners are probably aware more plants are killed by overwatering than by any other means. And in waterlogged soil, this is exactly what happens. The roots start to rot, and pretty quickly your plants die. So many of the beneficial microbes die. Others switch to a different way to get energy in order to survive in the absence of oxygen. So that moist smell normal soil has, it's quite earthy. And waterlogged soils, they really start to stink. And that's due to those microbes now using elements such as sulfur and nitrogen instead of oxygen to respire. So you may have noticed that the waterlogged soil smells like rotten eggs. And that's because there's a gas known as hydrogen sulfide, and that's actually toxic to plant roots. So that increases the damage. So during those extreme waterlogging events, lots of the nutrients are leached away. And as I mentioned before, the microbes actually use those nutrients. So when you have those smelly compounds, so when the soil dries out, it's actually nutrient deficient after a waterlogging event.
So how do we recover these soils or avoid these issues in the first place?
Well, recovery is actually a long-term process, but putting down a good cover of compost and other organic materials is a great start, because earthworms come up and they start to, use that organic material, and they restructure the soil and they create those air spaces. The soil microbes will be stimulated by that organic material. They start to stick soil particles back together, and that ends up giving you a more friable soil that allows the gas exchange to take place. Obviously, if you have a mulch down before, that's the best solution, because the mulches slow the infiltration of the water, so it gives the soil a bit of a chance to drain, and they stop that direct pelting impact on the surface, which really destroys the structure very quickly. It leads to erosion and turns everything into a mud. So if you had a mulch like Whoflungdung, it really protects the soil. It's got a little bit of nutrient in it, so it helps to both stimulate those soil microbes, and also it helps to feed your plants.
Gosh, that is really helpful. All those along the entire East Coast, gardens have been flooded, soils are completely waterlogged. However, you can accelerate the recovery by using organic mulches to bring your soil back to life. We had a call this morning, a message this morning from Brisbane. So Whoflungdung from Newtrog is ideal for this, and it's available at Bunnings, other hardware outlets, and of course all good nurseries. Thank you so much for that, Huey. Very helpful.
Not a problem, Sandra. Have a fantastic week.
And
Cheers.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.